Yo, my name's Conrad and I run an ads agency, and in today's video I wanted just to sit down, have a little bit of a 0% beer and chat about some of the most common issues that I actually faced myself, and I see a lot of agency owners, especially the ones that are just starting out. They're facing these issues and they're not able to sign clients. So I just wrote these down on my notepad here and I thought I would run through them, because what better thing to do on a Sunday evening at 7:30 than try and give some value away to some people. So let me clip my microphone on so I can actually have a proper drink. Ice cold, that one, ice cold, guys. Like, the first issue that you're probably not signing clients because of is quite simple. It's your offer. And what I mean by that is your offer simply sucks. When I started out, I thought my offer being we run Facebook ads to generate high quality leads was good enough, and that was it. Nobody fucking cares. And the reason as to why nobody cares is because it's not entirely tied to an outcome. Generating leads is great. Most business owners now understand that leads does not equals appointments, and it definitely does not equal sales. So what you need to focus your offer on is the outcome. What I always like to teach people that I mentor, and even when people ask me in DMs, etc., about offers, your offer is basically just a statement of the outcome that the client or the potential client will get from working with you. If you imagine this to be A and then this to be B, A is their current situation, their shit situation that they're in, whether they're aware of it or not, that's a completely different topic. B is where they want to be with their business, right? Let's just say it. So this is the desired outcome. Current situation, desired outcome, and in between that, there's me. And what I mean by that is the service that you're offering, right? So that's the gap that you're trying to bridge. It's super simple. It's been covered so many fucking times. And in most cases, the offer sucks. It doesn't tie to any specific outcome. And if they do tie to a specific outcome, usually they're a pretty shitty outcome, or there's been offer saturation where everybody else is running the same stupid offer, especially if you're running paid ads. Your prospects have seen that offer 50 fucking times that same day. Why the hell would they go with you? The second thing is that you're not marketing enough, and that's very simple, and you just need to be marketing more. Sometimes you might have a good offer, but because you're not getting enough attention and eyes on that offer from the right people, you might be thinking, this doesn't resonate with my market, let me switch it up. And then you start falling behind and you start falling into this sort of pitfall of, right, I need to change my offer this week because nobody responded to my emails last week. And the whole thing is the fact that you're just not marketing enough. More people need to see your offer for you to then actually take the data, wherever you have it collected, and be like, okay, I've sent 5,000 emails and not a single fucker has responded to this offer. Maybe there's something wrong here. The third thing is your lead qualification is poor. So if you're, as an example, running ads and you're generating leads and the people are actually interested in your offer, but they're coming through, you're calling them and they haven't got a Facebook page, or they have not a clue of how any of it works. Those types of prospects are probably not qualified to work with you when you're looking for established businesses that already have an advertising budget of, let's say, £2,000-3,000 or $5,000 or whatever the fucking conversions are. And you want to work with those types of people, not the person that's a one-man band or owner on the tools or owner-operator, I think the Americans say. That type of person doesn't fit the criteria that you want to work with. That person can potentially be helped by somebody else, but you don't want to work with them. So your qualification needs to be stricter. And to obviously battle with that, some of the things that I can point you towards is conditional logic in your forms. Take people away from the actual lead forms, take them onto a landing page, nurture them through the landing page, have an appointment setter call the leads, make sure that the appointment setter actually qualifies the leads correctly, then passes them on to you to actually go close, or you go call them yourself, speak to them, find out what their issues are, where the bottleneck is when it comes to the qualifications, and then implement that into your marketing. So maybe if most of these guys are unqualified on price, maybe start mentioning your price in your adverts. Super easy to combat. The next one is your offer and your pricing doesn't actually align with the ability to deliver. If you've watched too many YouTube videos, you might be thinking, let me just do a PIF and let's do £5,000 upfront for 90 days of working with us. Great if you're experienced, if you have social proof, if you have confidence on the call. Not so great when you've watched a few Iman Gadzhi videos, a few Jordan Platten videos, and a few other guru / SMMA videos on the internet, and you think you're going to go in and sell that service because all you want to do is you want to close 2 clients a month and make you 10K. Brilliant when you actually know what to do, but when you don't and you're on a call and you're stuttering and you're showing your experience or lack of on the actual call itself, the prospect will see that and you will never build enough confidence with a prospect to actually hand you over the money, unless they're delusional as fuck and maybe out of 100 calls you might close 1. But what's the point when 99 of those could have potentially been lower retainers or pay on performance deals or however you want to split it. And by the way, by saying that, I'm not saying you haven't got too many testimonials, let me just run a £300 or $500 retainer for every single client, because you can still charge clients depending on the value that you're delivering, but it needs to be based on the actual confidence that you have in your delivery. So some people are quite delusional, and as an example, when I started, I went from a performance deal to a £1,000 retainer. And I was saying this to a lot of agency owners that were around me at the time, and they were saying, whoa mate, that's very expensive, I'm only charging 700, I'm only charging 800, I'm only charging 1,000, but I'm also doing the website, or I'm doing their SEO, or I'm doing social management as well as the paid ads, so I got packages for this. And I was seen as this person as to be a little bit deluded to be charging this, but actually I was very confident on my calls in the ability to deliver, because I've done this as a freelancer for so many years. There wasn't any issues when it came to being able to sell this to somebody. It was more so of the fact that my sales skills were pretty fucking shit and I just stumble on objections. And now, over the years, obviously, of handling these objections, I've gotten much better, so it's much easier to sell. The next one falls onto a little bit of what I said about watching all these YouTube videos, and it's actually that the fact you have the same outreach as everybody else. And if you're in this world long enough, you will understand this, but for most of you, you're probably not in this for too long, and you watch YouTube videos to gain your knowledge and your information on how to reach out to people and the newest method that will sign you clients and you'll get your 10Ks, right? You having the same outreach as everybody else just ruins the experience for you to a point where you probably will not sign clients, and then you will move away from the industry or the niche or the model, right? You might choose something different to do because you'll see on TikTok in a week's time, after sending 100 emails that say, I notice you have this. How about I offer you this? And what I mean by that, and I'm not going to give you the source on this, because the people that I do give the source, they give me money because it actually fucking works. So I'm going to hold back on this one, but stop watching everybody else's outreach videos, because the likelihood is that there are hundreds, if not thousands of people watching those videos and doing the exact same scripts. They're scraping the leads from the same places. They're fucking finding the exact same people and hammering away the exact same emails, DMs, phone calls, etc. to these people, to a point where some of these markets are very, very irritated by this type of messaging. Oh, and by the way, if you need any support, I've got a 90-day plan that will outline every single step that you need to do to succeed in the first 90 days on your journey. Click the first link in the description. You can download that completely for free. And I promise you, it's going to be more valuable than 95% of the shit that you've probably watched so far on the internet. The next one is sales process is weak. And that hurts, man, because if you've not been in sales, if you've not been in any of those types of jobs, and you're coming into this industry as a young individual that's probably not even worked a part-time job, or you've been at school and then you've gone to college and high school and whatever, and then you kind of started SMMA because you've seen videos on it and you think it's a good thing to do. Fair play, first of all. Second thing, it's very difficult to learn your sales process if you're not reflecting on what you're actually doing. So for the longest time, I was the biggest advocate of recording all of my sales calls and then just watching them back and seeing what the prospect said to me at that time when I asked that question. And if they responded negatively or they were confused by the question, I would rewrite that question in my script or in the framework that I was following. That would then allow me for the next prospect, when I asked that question, to gain more clarity and take that step further and kind of increase the speed at which I was learning. And that allowed me to get better at sales. I'm not saying I'm no fucking guru or I'm absolutely insane at sales and I close every single call, but I am considerably better from when I actually started, which is the main thing that's very important to me. The next one is your paid advertising, guys. If you're doing your marketing and you're actually running some meta ads to generate leads for the business, for the agency, and try and close these guys, you're not building any intent with the leads through your funnel, which means in most cases, you're just relying on the offer. And that's completely fine if you have a solid offer and you've got good systems to back that up and very quickly deliver results. In most cases, you do not, because you're probably a beginner and it's very difficult to build that without knowing what to do. Basically, the message of this one is to not rely solely on your offer to start the conversation. And some of the things that you want to do when you're building the intent is potentially take people away from the lead forms and take them onto a landing page, offer them a VSL, maybe text them a Loom video of the system, of how things work, introduce yourself, call them straight away, start building the intent that way, rather than literally just as soon as you get the lead, pick up the phone, call them, introduce yourself. They probably won't know who you are, where you're calling from, and then obviously from there, you kind of lost them already. And the last two, very important ones, if you're doing content to generate clients and generate leads, and you're speaking to your audience, in most cases your content is just too generic, and that just simply means that the right people that you actually want to work with are not resonating. So you need to shift the focus from generic content that's broad, that's casting the net onto almost everybody, to that specific person that you actually want to work with. And then I promise you, if you talk about solving their problems and position yourself as the expert, the more content you push out, the more trust you'll build with those people, and without even knowing, leads will be flooding all of a sudden like this. And lastly, I'll sip this and then I'll let you know. Your limiting beliefs are stopping you from signing clients. What I mean by that is if you haven't signed your first client at all, if you try to go into a conversation, you almost will feel like it's too real and you'll be afraid to sign, and your limiting beliefs will stop you from going for that. And you'll crumble at the first objection of, oh, just send me an email on this, or, oh, what's your website? I'll check it out after, or, oh, let me just speak to my wife about this. Whatever it is, you will not handle that objection because of your limiting beliefs. So what I want you to focus on is your mindset. And that itself is quite cliche to say, and most people just take the piss with it. But honestly, kind of just have to remember that this is possible. And once you get proof of concept, once you sign that first client, you just start riding the wave, and I promise you, you're going to smash it. Hopefully these helped. If they did, leave me a comment of which one was the most helpful. Obviously, these are not the be-all, end-all list that, you know, that's the reason as to why. But so these are some of the most common ones that I've seen, some of the most common mistakes that I made initially with some of the stuff. So that's what I thought I'd cover. Hopefully you found these useful, and I hope to see you in the next one.